Hello and welcome to this episode of Real Women. I'm Amber Carnish and joined with me today is director and filmmaker Chelsea Burbank. Well, thanks for being here with me, Chelsea.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'm Chelsea Burbank. I grew up here in Northwest Arkansas. I'm a Springdale native. I'm a local filmmaker here. I'm a single mom of 2 boys, and I do multimedia as well, graphic design, photography, motion graphics, everything
awesome.
under the sun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell me how you got started in the film industry?
Sure, I believe it goes back to me and my brother and sister were just movie buffs growing up. But then in high school, I was at Springdale for video production, and I didn't think that I would get back into film. My interest, I always loved storytelling, and honestly, I believe I got back into film was because I fell in love with many documentaries that were faith-based. There were filmmakers following signs and wonders and miracles across the United States, and there were a lot of really popular films produced around these events, and those films really encouraged my faith. Those films really encouraged me through a really hard time in my life. And so I just started seeing what a powerful medium film is.
Yeah.
I started watching more documentaries about anti-trafficking and just seeing what was going on in the world that a lot of people don't know about. Why I feel like film is so powerful is because we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so the camera exposes a certain reality for different people groups around the world, certain perspectives that nothing else can.
You just finished shooting Avidity a couple weeks ago, I think end of April, right?
Yes.
So what was that experience like for you and bringing that to life? And also, can you just tell us a little bit about what it's about?
So the story of Avidity is about a single mom that raises her autistic son alone in small town rural Arkansas. And at the peak of graduation, even though he is a full ride to college in robotics, he is at jeopardy for not graduating on time because of his absences and his ability to not thrive with his disability in the school system. So in the film, there is this tug and push and pull of mercy and justice. There's this divine tension, even in life, between mercy and justice, and which is better? Who decides?
Yeah.
And you see that in the relationships in the film, and also behind the story, you see that there's a push and pull between mercy and justice in that film. I just thought it was amazing that the crew that I had, and the cast even, almost all of them had something to do with the story.
Well, kind of building off of that, you are a single mom, and that was a huge, part of Avidity, is being a single mom. So, it's very common to see once people start having kids, women start having kids, they give up their career, or give up, taking back from their career a little bit and making, progress backwards. And it's really inspiring to see that you're not doing that. You are pursuing filmmaking, but you're also still a mom and a great mom. So can you tell me how it's like for you balancing being a filmmaker but also being a mom?
Well, that's really sweet of you to say.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I do it the best. I'm not sure I do it super well, but I believe that I had to do a lot of soul searching when I became a single mom, and it's been a process. I just accepted that I'm going to be working really hard no matter what. So I may as well invest in something that I know that I'm more talented at and great at and gifted at. And I just decided a long time ago when I was a single mom, I didn't have the choice to drop them off with a random babysitter. I didn't have a choice to, I've had to take them to a lot of my appointments. We're kind of a package deal. And so I just accepted that when I'm going to do passion projects like this, just one step at a time. I included the boys in this process, and I said, and honestly, this story is for them. because it also speaks to children of divorce as well, or adult children of divorce. And I just felt like this project specifically could hopefully be a voice for them and other kids that have been through divorce.
Yeah.
And so I just really think it's fun to teach the kids whatever you're learning, whether it's your trade, or whether it's your side business, whether it's doing laundry, and just including them in all facets of life instead of separating them out.
So can you tell me where Avidity is at right now, and what you're looking forward to, and when it's going to premiere and everything like that?
Yes, so this will probably go in waves, but we took a little breather, but we're hoping to have everything cut and finished and ready this summer, by the end of summer, to get into festivals this fall.
And if there was one thing you wanted your audiences to know about Avidity, what would it be?
I think there's a very homely, down-to-earth vibe to the film, even aesthetically. It shows their humble living, but the richness and the heart and the bond between Regina and Evan. And I just want to drive home that this story is so incredibly common, and it's only one story.
Yeah.
More people are suffering alone and without community in their everyday life because it can be culturally taboo to not ask for help. And there's shame behind that for some reason.
Yeah.
When there shouldn't be any shame.
Yeah, I agree.
No shame in living your story.
Yeah.
No shame in owning your story and doing the best that you can every day and still needing help.
Yeah.
And I think when we can take off that cultural shame, that people can get more support that they need, like Evan and Regina.
And I think that's an incredible message, and I think that really is very apparent in the film. So I think people are watch that are gonna see that message shine through. Changing topics just a little bit, what does being a woman in film mean to you?
Okay. So it was really interesting to learn a lot about film history, film theory at JBU, and just to see all the perspectives. And I hadn't ever really thought about how there are not many films that are shot by women.
Yeah.
That are directed by women. And if they are, you really just don't hear about them, or maybe just don't recognize it. I think the one thing I want to say to women in film is, don't apologize for your story. If you really like being on camera team, if you really enjoy wanting to be a director of photography or a director, if you want it, get it.
Yeah.
If you're passionate for it, do it, work hard at it, and love people along the way. And just keep at it.
Can you tell me how you think that you are empowering and inspiring young women to be successful and creative in this industry?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm humbled by that question. That's amazing. I had to accept, and I'm still trying to accept routinely, that you can be everything you want to be. You can do all the things that you want to do. You can do that, but not all at one time. And you may not be able to do all of those things.
Yeah.
But just start. Start simple and do things one at a time. And even though Avidity, I wrote it 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, actually now, I wasn't able to even shoot it until,
April, yeah.
April. So, and I almost gave up on it. I was like, no, sometimes there's a growing process, and that's okay. If you have to shelf something and nurture it, let it grow, take care of it, and then it's going to manifest later in the right season,
Yeah.
But just start and don't get overwhelmed, and then just be confident in your vulnerability. I think that's a big deal. Because you're going to feel vulnerable doing it. You're going to be vulnerable and just ask questions. Like, I had to just get my pride down and put all my pride down and just learn and ask questions from anybody and everybody that I knew. And what I tried to do before that was just make sure that I'm investing in them too.
This next question kind of goes hand in hand with that. What piece of advice would you give to a woman who, if you have any other advice, who is interested in going into filmmaking? What piece of advice would you give them?
I really believe it's more effective to be a woman in film and still have that grit and that fight and say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. I'm showing up. And that can-do, gritty girl attitude, like consistent. And I'm not going anywhere. And you may be left out, you may be overlooked or condescended, or people don't ask enough questions about you or where you're actually skilled at or where you have been if you don't broadcast a lot of that. But you will have to be gritty.
You know, I think that's a really great piece of advice, and I agree. I think kindness does really go a long way, and asking questions, like you said earlier, is going to help you a lot, and just keep pushing. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Real Women. Be sure to tune into future episodes as we introduce more women across the state who are changing the film industry. On behalf of Chelsea Burbank, I'm Amber Carnish, and I'll see you next time.